God will not permit any troubles to come upon us, unless he has a specific plan by which great blessing can come out of the difficulty. Yeah, we no wonder this all the time, when we go through our trials, we wonder, what is God doing? Why is he having me go through this, And then the next thing the enemy's shouting in our ear like, oh, God's ignoring you. He's left you. He's ignoring your prayers. He's gone deaf to him. He's gone blind. No, it's rather the opposite. We've talked about that rather often. But, and you probably say, well, why do you talk about that all the time? Well, because it's a good reminder. Because I'll tell you, I see people going through so many trials on here. This is a wonderful reminder for them, God does not permit any troubles to come upon us unless he has a specific plan by which great blessing can come out of the difficulty. Here's the thing, guys. I'm going to tell you something. When you're in your trials, when the troubles come, when the storms in your life rage, God is right there. And he's not going to let any of them rage on stronger or come on to you stronger than you can handle. He knows that you can handle it. He knows that you can. And if you fall down, you know what happens? He picks you right back up. He's a good father. He will never leave you. Never will forsake you, Sometimes the best thing you can do when the storms happen, and he'll just have you take refuge in him, Don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to take refuge in God, especially when you have your struggles. Sometimes you do just need to sit and rest, We have this problem. Sometimes we're sitting here fighting and fighting and fighting, Sometimes God's like, take a rest. Take a rest in me, God's got this, Great blessing can come out of our difficulties, So many different things actually can come out of our difficulties, I can tell you one thing. It does increase your faith because, and I've done this more than once, and we talked about this before, In those times, those difficult times, you've leaned on God more, You've kept your faith on him. You've held on to him tighter, I know I have anyway, even if it's just the slightest bit of faith, I'll tell you something now. When I start seeing myself slowly getting through, that faith starts growing larger and larger. It's like, yes, Lord, bring me through, You hold on to him tighter in your trials, Another great blessing, sometimes you understand and see maybe toxic people, toxic things in your lives that may have caused that difficulty. People say, well, God's punishing you. No, not necessarily. Sometimes he's just showing you how toxic they are and why they need to be removed from your life, Just, when you're going through difficulties, don't automatically shut out those lies that the enemy puts in your head. Because I'm going to tell you something. You will get through with God. You will get through. And here's another thing with your difficulties. You ever hear the saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger? Well, that's the case when you go through your difficulties with God. It makes you stronger. He refines you. He tests you, He is a refining fire. Constantly working on us, Sometimes he has to do that with some troubles in our lives, Sometimes he tests us, see how much we can take, See if we'll rely on him for it all, But rest assured, if you don't think you can handle it, if you fall down, like I said, God's going to pick you back up. And either one thing's going to happen. He's going to be right by your side when you run out into battle, or he's going to be standing behind you watching. He's not going to leave you, and he's not going to let the enemy win. That can be assured. Even if it seems like the enemy's going to win, that's when God steps in and fights him off. You guys, just remember that. I see so many people on here with trials. You don't lose your faith. God's got you. You will get through this. There is nothing too hard for our God to do. I know, it's not easy. It's not simple. Nobody ever said it was going to be, But you just got to keep fighting. And God's got you. He will strengthen you. He will give you the strength to keep fighting. And if you need to take a rest in Him. When He guides you to take a rest in Him, do it. But don't give up your fight. I love yous, and yous have a most blessed night.